Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello everyone and welcome to your English class. In our lesson today, we will continue with our second unit, which is titled Take My Advice. Our lesson today is the grammar lesson in your books, page 20 and 21. All you need for the lesson today is your books and the grammar lesson, page 20 and 21, a sheet of paper and a pen to take down your notes. So let's get started. Before we start, from the Listen and Discuss lesson on page 18 and 19, we had a homework, a question to answer. It was about talk about a challenge and give advice. We have discussed some of the issues or challenges that people are facing. How about you? Have you ever faced any challenge? What is the advice that you've received? Or try to think about any problem and bring advice for that. For me, I have came up with this idea, which is something that we have mentioned in the lesson. I am overweight and I know I need to lose weight or shed weight. What should I do? Notice he's asking for help. What should I do? If someone is overweight, what advice you are about to give this or that, he or she? I will say, you should stop eating junk food. Also, you ought to go to the gym. You might walk regularly, and you could start new habits. What have we said? What have we used? Actually, we have used the expression should, ought to, might, and we used could. These are expressions that you can use to give or offer advice for others. So these are they. What other problems have you discussed? Maybe not eating or avoiding food, or keeping fit, the idea of junk food, driving, and many others. For our lesson today, by the end of today's lesson, you will be able to use modal auxiliary for advice. So we will get to know many modal auxiliaries, just like the ones we covered in Unit 1, but these are the function is advice. The second, use had better to give advice. One of them is going to highlight is had better. And also use 2 and 3 word verbs. We're having certain type of verbs, which is the 2 and 3 word verbs. Ready? Let's get started with these. At the beginning in here, we're having this timeline, which is about must, ought to, should, could, and might. This is the modal verb line. If we're having a sentence like you must eat healthy, from the first unit we said must is the highest level of giving advice or telling the rule. Also, you ought to avoid junk food. You should start new habits, and you could go to the gym, and you might walk more. What have we used in here? Notice all of them start with the pronoun he. You can, if I am trying to give advice to your brother, I will tell him he, she. You can start with a pronoun, followed by the modal auxiliary. This one is actually your choice, whether you want to make it a strong advice or just like if it were a suggestion. Then we will have, notice what type of verbs do we use? Eat, avoid, start, we're having go, and also walk. What kind of verb do we use after any modal auxiliary, whether it's advice, offer, or anyone? We use the base form of the verb. So it's actually eat, not eating, eats, or ate. It is the base form, the present tense of the verb. So in here, we're having the modal verbs, auxiliary verbs that express the idea, which is advice. Many have more than one meaning. So in here, we're having the modal auxiliaries that we've covered together. Before that, we use the pronoun, which is actually the he, she, it, they, you, or we, followed by the base form of the verb. These are our sentences that notice the base form of the verb, which is eat, avoid, start, go, and we're having walk. The choice of the modal auxiliary based on you and your choice, whether the strong one, which is must, or the weakest, which is might or could. Okay, now let's try to use ought to in here. I want you to come up with a sentence. What is the problem that we're having here? Or let's say the situation. The weather is cold. I will tell you that today's weather is cold. What advice can you give me? We use ought to this time. So you can say, you ought to wear a warm jacket. Not, you ought not to go out. Notice that we have used the ought to in here, followed by the base form of the verb. How can we add not? With ought, you will add it, ought not to, and use the base form of the verb, which is go. You ought to wear, you ought not to go. Always use the base form of the verb. Another issue that we're having here, and I want you to use should. Someone shows you the result and he got an F. He didn't pass the test. So, what advice can we give this person? I will tell him with should. You should study harder. Also, you shouldn't waste your time. Should, something that you do. Shouldn't, something that you mustn't or shouldn't do. So, I have used should because this is what I was asked for, and use the base form of the verb, study and waste. You should study harder. You should ask your teachers. You shouldn't waste your time. You shouldn't sleep in class, it could be. How about in here? Let's use could. Someone is thinking, my friend has graduated. I have a friend and he graduated. What should I do? Now we're having could. Can you use could? I will tell him, you could call him. Or couldn't, you couldn't forget calling. You could give him a gift. You could say congratulations. So I have used could and the other one is couldn't, followed by the base form of the verb, which is call and forget. The verb is your choice, however, the modal auxiliary here is my choice. Now in your book's page 21, exercise C. Give advice. What would you say in the following situations? I will give you a situation and based on that you will come up with the advice. Let's read the first one. A friend is looking for a hobby. Where can he go to find out more about hobbies? He's trying to find out something that to spend his spare time or free time with. Where can I go so I can find something I spend my free time with? Let's give advice. I will say in here, you could go to a sports club. Here, I have used could for advice, followed by the base form. Any other suggestions? You could ask a friend. You might search online. It is actually my choices. How about number 2? A friend is trying to give up smoking. Someone is smoking and he or she's thinking about giving up, stop smoking. Any advice for them? I will say, you ought to get a nicotine patch. Notice I have used ought to for stronger advice, followed by get. This is a nicotine patch. It's a kind of plaster that you will use. A nicotine patch. So you ought to get the base form of the verb, get, not got or gets. A friend wants to lose weight. Someone is overweight and they want to lose weight. They want to look slimmer. What advice can you give? You can say you could, you should, you might. I will say, you ought not to eat junk food. I have used the negative. You ought not to, and the base form of the verb, which is eat. You ought to go to the gym. You might walk an hour every day. It depends on your choice. You ought to eat more vegetables. Here I have used ought to plus the verb eat. So this is the timeline, or let's call it, yes, it is a timeline for the modal auxiliaries. The ones on the right in here, might, is, we're having it mild. It is an option. So when I tell you, you might ask a friend. So if you do it, it's up to you. Could is more, stronger than might. Then we have stronger than that is should. You should study harder. How about ought to? This is stronger than might, than could, and should. Stronger than that, we've got ought to, then we have must, which is the laws and the rules. What if you are telling, your mom may maybe want to tell you that you have no choice to do this thing? The strongest way to give advice, maybe your doctor is going to use it. You will use had better. It's a kind of a threat. You had better do your homework, otherwise you might lose marks. You had better sleep early, otherwise your mom is going to get mad. So had better is the strongest way to give advice. If you hear had better, it means no other choices. So here we're having, should I take the medicine? Maybe someone is not feeling well, and they will tell you, should I take the medicine? What do you think? Is there an option whether to take or to leave it? I believe not. So you had better take it. You had better not forget it. So notice the same use. We have used had better, it's the modal auxiliary. Had better, not, the negative comes afterwards. And we will have the base form of the verb take and forget, because it's actually just like any other modal auxiliary. You had better do, you had better not do. Okay. Had better is actually used to give advice. Is it like any other advice? However, it is stronger than should and ought to. The strongest way to give advice. You want to tell that you have no choice whether to do it or leave it. Okay, so we're having had better in here. Now in your books, page 21, exercise D, write the sentences using had better. So all of them we're going to use had better. Number 1, it's getting late. It's time you went home. I will say, you had better go home. Here, had better go. I haven't had a vacation for a long time. It's time I took one. You had better take a vacation. I'd better take, the base form of the verb. The kids have been playing all day. It's time they went to bed. So I will say, they had better go to bed. Notice, had better, then go. Our car is really falling apart. It's getting older. It's time we bought a new one. So I will say, we had better buy a new car. We have no option, our car is not working anymore. Okay. Now in your books, page 87, we're having exercise B. Read the conversation, choose the most appropriate modal auxiliary. Ahmed and Fahad. My brother is always going out with his friends. He never has time for me. What might or should do? If you want to ask for advice, do you say should or might? We will use should. What should I do? Fahad, I wouldn't worry about it. My brother does the same thing. Or you could, had better talk to him. We will use could. It's an option. Ahmed, I have talked to him. He says he's really not interested in spending time with me. He thinks I'm too young. But he said we had better or might watch the football game together tonight. So it is we might. It is an option. Let's continue. we're having here a patient and a doctor. A patient will say, I can't seem to lose more weight. I haven't been careful about what I eat, but I go to the gym 5 times a week. Maybe I should or shouldn't bother about going to the gym. He will say, I shouldn't bother going to the gym. It gives no result. The doctor, let me explain. If you work out for an hour, then eat a piece of cake, you are taking in more calories than you burned at the gym. The gym is important. You could or should go to the gym. Is it an option? You should, less than an option. But you ought or might be more careful about your diet. You might. It is better to take care of your diet. Another situation, here we're having 2 moms, Mr. Tanaka and we're having Mr. Jones. How is Brian? Okay, I guess. He is on the school football team, but he's still on a strict diet. He's not eating. He never eats fast food or any of the food that other kids eat, but he's happy because he's fit. Then, it's great for kids to know what they want. If Brian is happy, he could or ought to continue his diet. He's happy, he ought to, he must continue his diet. I have an idea. He might or had better explain it to the other kids. He might, it's an idea, optional. Explain it to the other kids that eating this way helps his football skills. What do you think? So just notice the situation. Whether it's optional, you will use might, could. If it is not an option, you will use the others, ought to, had better, or should. Okay, now here we're having someone who is having a problem with his weight. He will say, I am overweight, I need to lose weight, what should I do? So, we are going to give some advice in here. You should give up junk food. Also, you ought to take up a sport. You might work out regularly, and you could take up new habits. We have already spoken about how to give advice. Now I want you to notice the verbs in here. Give up, take up, work out, and take up. Let's compare between give up and give. Do they have the same idea or the same meaning? They are actually different. This is what we're speaking about, which is the 2 and the 3 word verbs. If we're comparing put to put off, it means postpone. When I put something, is different than when I put off something. Putting off something is to do it later. Put up with. Can you put up with a new situation? It means tolerate. It is a bad situation, however, I will do it. Put on. Try new clothes. I am putting on the new t-shirt. Trying on is to, putting on is trying. And putting out is to stop fire. If we're having burning fire, so we will say putting it off by adding water to it. So, the 2 or 3 word verbs, we're having a verb, it is the main verb, plus the particles in here. On, we're having out, and the others. So, put off, get along with. This is a 2 word verbs, 1 and 2, and this is a 3 word verb because it consists of 3 words. So, this one, the put and the get, we call it the verb. However, the other part, which is the off, along with, we call them actually the particle. So, this side is the particle part, whether it consists of 2 parts or only one in the 2 word verb. Now let's give the meanings for these. In your books, page 20, this exercise. Turn down, give up, put off, take up, or throw away. The meeting until next week. We're not doing it this week, it will be next week. They put off, postpone it. He smoking for health reasons, stop. It is actually he gave up smoking. I am going to karate. Start. I will take up. Usually with habits. With habits and hobbies. Don't your old clothes. What do you do with them? Discard them is don't throw away. The committee, my proposal, refused or said no. They turned down the proposal. So each one is having a totally different meaning than just the verb itself. Now in your books, here we're having exercise D. These are the verbs, give, put, take, and the others, and we're having the particles. Which one can you come up with the verb means to stop doing something? It is actually to give up. Postpone, I will do it later. It is actually put off. Discard, when you discard something, you are throwing it away. How about being friendly? It is get along with. Refusing or saying no, we will say turn down. Turning down the offer. To begin or start. To take up. If we're having a bad situation, then you will say it's okay, I will accept a bad situation. To put up with. So these are the meanings for the 2-3 word verbs in your books. Now, if we're going to speak about how are you going to put it within a sentence, like here, put off the meeting and put off it. If actually the object, which is the meeting, is a noun, so you can change the order of the sentence, so it will be put off the meeting or put the meeting off. You have two options. Both of them are correct. Put off the meeting or put the meeting off. However, in here, because it is actually a pronoun like it, you, they, you can never change where it is. So it is only one situation. Put it off. It is always put it off. It should be in the middle. You can never put it here by the end. You can never end a sentence with a pronoun. So let's do this exercise in your books, page 20. Complete the sentences using the verbs in parentheses. When I received the form, I fill out the form. So I filled it out. Notice, because this is actually the form and you will put it in the middle. I finished reading the book and take back book. And I took it back. His hair was too long, so he, for the passport photo, cut off hair it. He cut it off. The magazines were old, that's why I throw away magazines. They, I threw them away. How about number 5? When you finish using your computer, please computer it. Please turn it. Please turn it off. It will be in the present tense because it is an imperative. Please turn it off. This is how to put it within a sentence. For your homework, I want you to check your books on page 89. Page 89 in your books, there is an exercise, exercise C, which is about the 2 and 3 word verbs. Page 89 in your books. Okay, I guess that is it for the lesson today, and thank you so much for your time.